So as you're probably well aware up until this point, Grievous obviously has not met community expectations for Arena. We waited 3 years to see Grievous be somewhat Arena viable or dominant, and although we see him win on offense not 100% of the time, on defense, when it comes to Revan, Trey, and Commander Luke Skywalker running the show, Grievous does horribly, and it doesn't look like he's going to take a piece of that Revan pie where he has 87% right now. So obviously, a lot of people upset, including myself, not the happiest. Wish Grievous had more in him for Arena. But moving beyond Arena, thinking beyond that, even though Arena, in my opinion, is the most important thing and the thing I'd really like to see Grievous do well in on offense and defense, Grand Arena is kind of important right now, and probably going into the future, Grand Arena is going to become even more important. And I did a lot of tests with Grievous against Grand Arena teams, and guys, I think this team, the Separatist Rework, is probably the 4th or 5th best team in the game for Grand Arena, as we're going to see today. To demonstrate my point that I'm making right here, I reached out to my Arena Shard chat, and I said, hey guys, let's pretend Grand Arena was happening today. What teams would you start throwing at my Grievous to see how he does? So my Arena Shard chat members, shout out to them. I really appreciate the work you guys did to help me out with this video right here. They started attacking my Grievous with a bunch of Grand Arena type of teams. Kira, Rex, Night Sisters, First Order, Bounty Hunters, and a lot of other stuff in between. And I'm going to show you their reactions, but even these people who were also very bummed about how the Grievous rework turned out, when they're thinking about Grand Arena, they were actually very impressed. And some of them even said, you know what, I changed my opinion. I'm going to maybe put a few Zetas on this team solely for Grand Arena purposes. And let me know in the top right hand corner if you appreciate these type of videos where I have my Arena Shard chat just beat the living heck out of a new character or a new rework in Arena. Hopefully it helps you guys out, so let me know if you enjoy these types of testings with new characters and reworks that come out on my own account. But moving beyond that, there is so much I want to talk about this team. We're going to talk about Zeta priorities, a variety of teams and how they do well against him or do bad against him. And guys, it's just a really good rework if we want to talk about Grand Arena. So let's talk more about it. And if for some reason you guys are really impressed with one of these teams that my Arena Shard mates threw at my Grievous, I'll leave a link down below to their swgoh.gg page if they had one, where you can see the mods for the characters and the teams they use to go up against my General Grievous. So first thing I saw a lot of questions about, if I'm going to go all in on Separatists, what are the Zeta requirements that I would recommend? And I'm going to ignore everything out there, whether you should or not, because there's a lot of things speculated for the future that seem to be true and that seem to be the next big thing. We'll talk about that in a different video, but excluding those external factors and you don't care about them, for General Grievous, it's so important to get turn meter, because this team is not designed to be modded for speed like we're traditionally used to. Instead, this team has durability, and it's more designed for modding for health and critical damage. For General Grievous, for example, I sacrificed as much speed as possible to get him a lot of health, and then speed was kind of second or third priority for him. But for the rest of the team, offense and potency is so critical. So oftentimes this team, the General Grievous team, will not be going first. You'll have a variety of other teams who are meant to be fast teams, and General Grievous will get the beatings for the first few turns. So you need to make sure you at least have something to compensate for the slow speed on this team, and the turn meter gain is so important. And I talked about this with Mobile Gamer. Although the Zeta investment is going to be kind of high to really get this team to work very well, in my opinion. And I think you're going to need 3 Zetas or very minimum 2. And we're going to talk about which ones those are. So if you're going to start applying Zetas on this team, the first one I'd highly recommend is the leadership ability for General Grievous, Daunting Presence, because this is where we start seeing a lot of turn meter gain for the team. This is tied to target lock. Droids have a lot of target lock going on, and every time you're damaging an enemy, a droid and Separatist ally are getting 2% turn meter, and Grievous gets 4% turn meter for each target locked enemy hit. So right here, it's going to be very important, because there's a lot of AoE abilities that's going on with the team between the B1 Battle Droid, and then we have Magna Guard, and then the B2 and General Grievous. So you really need this to make sure you're compensating for the low modded speed for this team. And this right here is the first important Zeta. And the second Zeta that I think is pretty critical for this team is the B1 Battle Droid's Droid Battalion, because without it, he's only getting 50 stacks of Droid Battalion, and pretty much one mass assist ability can pretty much almost wipe out the B1 Battle Droid very quickly. So you need the Droid Battalion Zeta to double the amount to starting at 100. So even in the situation where Revan starts off with a mass assist, or Veers or General Kenobi, what have you, they can survive the massive blows they're taking. And also, Droid Battalion, the more stacks that you have, the more health regeneration you're getting for your team and the other bonuses that come along with it. So B1 and the Grievous leadership, at the minimum, are what I think are the most critical Zetas for this team to make sure you're getting the foundation to do well. However, I'd really argue for a third Zeta for the B2 Super Battle Droid's new unique. Reactive protocol is really crucial in my opinion, because oftentimes B2 will be the first separatist ally to take a turn, because your team's going to get hit first, and B2 will quickly get into battle and start trying to remove buffs or apply target lock on the basic. And oftentimes, because of his unique ability, he reduces the cooldown of Mowdown so frequently. So because of the Zeta, whenever he's applying a debuff, he's feeding 5% turn meter to separatist droid allies. So he's going to do his Mowdown ability very frequently, apply a ton of buff immunity and target lock. But let's say he keeps doing his AoE ability and keeps landing 5 debuffs. That's 25% turn meter he's feeding to the separatist droid team. So I highly recommend these 3 Zetas to really make Grievous solid. Of course, there's 3 other more that you could use for separatists, but at the minimum, these 3 really gets the team going, and everything else beyond that is a bit extra. But if you don't want to go too far in, 2 Zetas, the ones I mentioned earlier for Grievous lead and the B1 Battle Droid, I think are highly recommended. So not quite the team like the First Order or Bounty Hunters or Bastila, where you give 1 Zeta to the lead and it's a great team for Grand Arena. You're going to need a very minimum 2 Zetas. But let's say you do give those 2 Zetas. What are you getting in return for all of this work that you're putting into separatists? Because these guys, aside from Zetas, they're very stun gun heavy, very Carbonti heavy, and it's not an easy team to gear up. But what you're seeing right now is a team. Keep in mind, let's change our perspective and expectations that we had for Arena. Let's change it a bit, because this team has 0 legendary characters and 0 Hero's Journey characters versus team, and 0 raid characters for that matter. Think of Revan, CLS, and Traya. Those are teams that require a lot of characters that are tied to specific events and things that are kind of hard to achieve, versus this team right here. You can use Droideka and B1 at 3, 4 stars, and then Grievous and the rest, they've been in the game for a long time to have at 7 stars. So when you consider those facts, it's a very powerful team that lacks all those other big name characters that we're used to for those top end teams. And hopefully, as you guys have been seeing so far, Grievous, my goodness, he just basically wipes away most enemies coming at him. Obviously, the biggest counters to Grievous, which is why we don't see him in Arena too much, are Revan, Traya, Commander Luke Skywalker. They can make easy work of Grievous. Auto Grievous, he's done. That's why we're not really seeing Grievous take over the meta, unfortunately, for Arena. But for Grand Arena, that's a strategical thing, because Grand Arena, we think beyond just one team. You need several teams to do well on offense and defense. And imagine if, let's say, someone decides to go hard on defense. They put their Commander Luke Skywalker, Traya, and Revan, but they don't realize you have a Grievous you're going to set on defense. As you're going to see now, Grievous can wipe out pretty much most teams that are pretty much like that A-, B+ going under, and that's a huge strategical thing to keep in mind. Or also, let's say they do save their Commander Luke Skywalkers, Revans, and Treyas, and they see Grievous on defense. It kind of looks like, for the most part, you're going to have to pull out one of those top-end teams to take out Grievous, rather than using one of those top 3 characters that I mentioned against Revan, Traya, and Commander Luke Skywalker. So it's kind of a really important thing to point out. However, there are a few other exceptions that can beat Grievous, although I'm not going to say it's 100% certain, but I do want to say that there are teams that are in that A- and below category that can do well against Grievous, but for the most part, Grievous just plows through most teams that you're going to see in Grand Arena. So let's talk about a few of those teams, because you guys are seeing a range of stuff from Night Sisters, First Order, Bounty Hunters, Rex, Ewoks, and a lot of other stuff in between. So a large variety of things. But the first few things I want to point out is Night Sisters. So Night Sisters are one of those teams where you really only need 1 Zeta on like Mother Talzin for the team to do very well. Now, although when Night Sisters are on defense, Grievous can blow through them very easily. However, the Grievous AI and the Separatist AI, they aren't the smartest on defense, and Night Sisters can kind of take advantage of that and beat General Grievous. That's a really important thing to put in mind. So if you don't want to waste your Revan, Commander Luke Skywalker, and Trey, and you see Grievous, Night Sisters seem to be doing okay against them. And I want to kind of go to the other extreme now, because a lot of people thought that Imperial Troopers would be this ultimate counter to General Grievous. I tried addressing these individually on Twitter in the comments section, but here in the footage, you can now see that Imperial Troopers will not be a good counter to General Grievous, because the thought was, hey, if I take out one of these B1 battle droids, I can just get infinite turn meter because I can keep attacking these B1s over and over again. However, that is not true. As it says in the B1 battle droids kit, you gotta defeat, or you gotta take out all of these droid battalion stacks stacks before the character is considered defeated. So Imperial Troopers with Veers or Asajj Ventress's Zeta, they're not gonna have all their defeated and death effects triggered until you get rid of all the B1 battle droid stacks. So the Grievous team, not gonna really care much about Imperial Troopers because they can just blow Imperial Troopers away like it's nothing. And I want to touch upon a couple of the big threats on this General Grievous team because, as I said before, with the Separatist droid army, each person plays a really important role. Each of them has their own very unique role. B2's clearing out the buffs, feeding turn meter to the team. B1 battle droid is constantly assisting, hitting target lock, applying more target lock, doing massive heals for the rest of the team. Then we have the Magna Guard, who's constantly cleansing, and with the Zeta, he's constantly stunning with his special ability and taunting so much. And Droideka, my goodness, this character, if you don't keep control of him or if your team is too fast, Droideka with his special ability can blow away teams with it. It's so satisfying seeing Droideka almost one-shot a lot of teams when he has so many stacks to charge up. And obviously General Grievous, if you're not going about the General Grievous team correctly and you're leaving General Grievous around, he's going to keep increasing his damage throughout the battle and he becomes an absolute monster, which makes it hard for a lot of these B+ and lower teams to kind of deal with. So as you guys are seeing, First Order Grievous does very well against them, both on offense and defense. Bounty Hunters does pretty well against them on offense and defense. And then Bastila, a very important team. One Zeta on Bastila makes a very good Jedi team. From the looks of it, Grievous does very good on offense against them, not many problems. And Bastila, although she can try to hang in there, you might be able to beat Grievous in some circumstances. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy with Bastila, so Grievous gives Bastila a hard time as well. So very impressive things he's showing, and he blows through all those other things like Ewoks, not a problem. Captain Rex, it's no one's business for him. So a team that can really take on a bunch of stuff. So this is why I'm hopefully trying to get the point to you guys that General Grievous is gonna be a top end team for Grand Arena. This is one of the best teams for Grand Arena right now, and it's a team that not a lot of people have invested right now. So although I'm not gonna see a lot of benefit for Arena because Revan's running rampant Traya and Commander Luke Skywalker, Grievous is pretty bad on defense, and the speculation is Darth Revan and Malik are just around the corner, we're not going to see much of Grievous in Arena probably. But for Grand Arena, where a lot of teams are very, very, very important, Grievous is going to find a very nice home there, and he's going to take on a lot of teams, and he might be frustrating. And even thinking beyond Grand Arena, but I know we're not going to talk about it too much, but Territory Wars is pretty much the same thing as Grand Arena. So I could expect a wall for Territory Wars happening solely for General Grievous, because if you're not using those top 3 teams, Commander Luke Skywalker, Traya, and Revan, it's going to be very hard taking down a full team of Territory Wall Grievouses on defense. So hopefully these battles are making you feel a bit more optimistic about Grievous. Of course, Grand Arena isn't as important as Arena right now. Maybe if they started tying crystals to Grand Arena, I'd be way more happier about how General Grievous, or maybe even Zetas, if they tied Zetas to more Zetas to Grand Arena, I'd be very, very happy. But when I was starting to interview some of my Arena Shard members about their opinions about Grievous, after we spent about an hour fighting my Grievous on defense in Arena, a lot of them were very impressed with how Grievous is performing with Grand Arena in mind, and some of them said, I mean, you know, I'm gonna maybe put some time on this team because I want another good Grand Arena team to set on defense or use on offense. So when we take that in mind, rather than just ignore Arena and what we were really hoping for a man to be sitting on the throne in Arena, for a Grand Arena perspective, there's a lot to really brag about this rework and this character. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. And again, a quick shout out to my Arena Shard for throwing all these teams and recording all this footage so we could share it with you and try to make the situation a bit more bright for General Grievous, because this rework is not a bad rework by any stretch of the imagination. Now, when we think of Arena, yeah, it doesn't really meet our expectations for that, but for Grand Arena, this is a fantastic rework, and it's sitting right under the top 3 teams right now, in my opinion, which is perfect for Grand Arena. Thank you so much for watching. This does make me feel a little bit better, although I want him to be Arena viable in the meta and own some part of it, make it hard for Revan to beat him. That's not the case, but for Grand Arena, I'm happy I got another team that can do well up against him. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment down below on all of your thoughts of Grievous and Grand Arena and all that stuff in between, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And until the next video, guys.